and death according to the Bible. Now, in Revelations 12, it supposedly gives description. The righteous family menu. If you're righteous, you're that is an individual under the most fully, sufficiently, righteously abundant functioning God.
Okay, when it said menu, that's just a word on the website. Menu. You feel me? It's probably a button or something you push that say menu. Just to clarify, you know what I mean? It's just letting you know that God don't make it too hard on us to obtain information, knowledge, you know, that we get knowledge from information. So.
The righteous family menu. If you're righteous, you're that is an individual under the most fully, sufficiently, righteously abundant functioning God. And it's BC of him that you are able to be. The fact that we share that in common makes us family, the righteous family. Although, there's only one him, he graced each one of us with the worth of righteousness. And in sustaining that, we suffice. Photo above by Sarah Jenkins. Don't forget to go through the rest of the pages by pressing the icon with the 3 bars at the top right section of this page. Main point: people have been inducing, supporting, and promoting misconceptions about God and righteousness. And that's been their intentions as well as their ambitions.
There's some typos in here that just let you know I ain't perfect, huh?
They want to keep others in confusion and under illusion about God, which is the greatest injustice and tribulation here. Religions are cults. First, I'll address Christians. They've been telling us for as long as we've been knowing of the Bible, that the Bible is the pure, indisputable, irrefutable, unadulterated truth. But, here's the lie in it. It tells you in Revelations 12 that after the war in heaven, the devil was cast down to earth. But before he was, the righteous ones of heaven warned a lady on earth to protect her sons because the devil was coming to wreak havoc upon them and cause turmoil upon them. But, in Genesis, the first 3 chapters supposedly convey the description of the first days of God creating the heavens, as well as the earth and the creation of the living creatures amongst them. Most know the story, but haven't found the undeniable lie. Many know of the lie, but preach around it. I suggest you read the first 3 chapters of any Bible and compare it to Revelations chapter 12 so that you can recognize it for yourself. So, in those first 3 chapters of Genesis, it gives description of how God separated day from night by creating light, when there was previously only darkness. He went on to make animals, then man, a person in the human flesh form. The first human, a male, an adult man, Adam. Next, a female counterpart to complement him, an adult woman, Eve. It goes on to say how God told them their purpose as well as gave them one law not to break. This law was to never eat from one tree in the world. And that the consequence for doing so would be death. So there was essentially nothing that the first and only 2 humans on the earth at the time could do wrong but eat from the tree. I would like to remind you, if you've read those first 3 chapters, or make you aware, if you haven't, that they could do anything in the world within their ability besides eat from the tree, and would have never been wrong for it. This is what the Bible conveys. So, it then goes on to say how the devil, in the form of a serpent, a snake, began to talk to Eve after God left her and Adam in the Garden of Eden. The serpent told her how God was lying to them about dying if they ate from the tree that he warned them not to eat from. According to the Bible, the serpent told Eve that the reason God didn't want them eating from the tree was BC he didn't want them to become as wise as he was. As the Bible had previously mentioned this tree as being the tree of knowledge, so Eve then ate fruit from the tree, shared it with Adam, then God came calling them. They were scared to come out when God called them BC they realized they were naked. So when God asked them why they took so long to come when he called them, they said BC they were naked. God knew that they had eaten from the tree that he told them not to. BC they knew what naked was, they had gained that knowledge from eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So God then cast them out of the Garden of Eden and doomed them to a life of sin, tribulation and death, according to the Bible. Now, in Revelations 12, it supposedly gives description of an account of days in heaven before the devil was cast down to the earth for rebelling against God in heaven as he was previously an angel. It mentions after losing the war in heaven against the army of angels that were in defense of righteousness, he was cast down to earth. But before being cast down, inhabitants of heaven warned a lady on earth to protect her sons. BC the devil was coming down to induce the tribulation of injustice upon them. At John 3:13 it says that no one has ascended into heaven except the one that descended from heaven. Speaking of Jesus, because he was sent from heaven, born on earth in the flesh, died on earth, and was risen back into heaven in the spirit form. So, for that to be the devil's initial and only time being cast down to earth, why would they warn the lady, who would had to have been Eve, because there were only 2 humans on the earth at the time of man's first encounter with the devil, Satan, and only 1 woman? I suggest that you read these few chapters in the scripture at John 3:13 for yourself, to verify and just so you can be confident in what you know and not just conscious of what I'm telling you. But, just to keep it all the way sharp with you like Shannon, if you add an E, lol. Adam and Eve hadn't even had children yet when they had that first encounter with the devil. There were only 2 people on earth during humans' first encounter with the devil. So instead of warning a woman, who would had to have been Eve by default, to protect sons that she hadn't even bore yet from the harm of the devil, why wouldn't they warn her and Adam not to be manipulated and tricked into breaking the only law that God had forbidden them from breaking, which would cause their demise and death, as well as anyone that came after them, including God's own Son? So, there lies not just only the most substantially identifiable contradiction, but the most blatant undeniable lie in a book that they tell you that every account in it is true. And on top of that, tell you not to question the Bible, suggesting that you're opposing God because you have doubt about something that you don't understand. The fact that they tell you everything in it is true, is one injustice. The fact that they make you feel like God is going to punish you if you inquire about the understandable, genuine confusion that you have concerning the Bible, is another injustice. The fact that they lead people astray by not conveying to them what it took me less than 4 years to find after getting into the Bible on my own, is yet another injustice. They claim to be so well read and experienced as a scholar of the Bible, which is why people trust them read it to them instead of reading it for themselves. And here I am, flunked out of college and mentally impaired, found it with God's grace. Trust me, they've seen it, but Joel Osteen, Creflo Dollar, Joseph Prince, T.D. Jakes, will all play crazy like they didn't, I guarantee you. They want the power for themselves and want to bird feed you insight about God. And some just want to see you keep struggling with not understanding him, and it even causes some to not even believe, because this world is filled with tribulation, turmoil, and treachery, and they understand that clearly, but their success of believing in God and getting to know him is impeded by the confusion intentionally caused by false leaders, their greed, and the fact that they put their fleshly desires over God. But here's a whole functioning farm. And I'm not giving it to you, God did. Not only that, but they say the scriptures are inspired by God. Meaning that God chose who would write each account as well as instructed what to write. So for this long, Christian leaders, of all denominations, have been trying to keep people in illusion about God. Pray to the Most High, that's God. I prayed for clarity, and this is the result. So you can see that it's real. So you have no reason to doubt. The best medicine is being real with yourself, BC. You really can't come to him no less than that. Religion as a whole. All religions suggest that there are people that have been anointed, chosen, or selected by God, deeming them worthy of being able to interpret the book of their specific religion in order to be sufficiently enlightened and equipped to soundly relay the message and points to others, thus, saving them from their demise, as it relates to death. So, why, since all of these experienced ministers, preachers, etc., are so anointed, not one of them have pointed out what it only took me less than 4 years of studying the Bible on my own to find? The one thing that indubitably substantiates the fact that they are lying. Also, why do they pretend that it takes something other the ability to read and properly interpret what you've read, just as it stands with any other literary piece, to be able to understand these books? When even a child can recognize the lie that I previously pointed out in the Bible. And if any other religions was actually the one, wouldn't God anoint someone in it to point out this lie in Christianity, to stray the misguided away from it and in turn towards the correct one? Instead, me, just one righteous man under God, with an extraordinary testimony. was the one to identify and convey it, I assure you, all by the grace of God and all of his glory of sufficiently abundant substance and degree of righteousness. I'm not trying to persuade, nor asking you to believe me. Because I know that all it takes is for you to believe yourself, I'm just pointing out where you can find the lie. The problem with religion is that they induce, persuade, encourage and elude you to ignore this lie as well as other contradictions that a person who knows God better than those books inquire about, while they wickedly continue to support and promote the function of the lies with ambitions sustaining another's presence in ignorance, which gives one an unsound perception, therefore causing means for one's actions and reactions to be unsound. On top of that, anything that anyone brings to question regarding the inconsistent literary pieces, religious leaders threaten them with the wrath of God for questioning him. But ask yourself, how could a person be wrong for inquiring to God about not only what they don't understand, but about what also doesn't make enough sense that it should be understood, when God is all-knowing, he is the one with all of the answers, so who better to ask? They tell you that you can pray for everything else but answers.
Oh,
So it's really evil, made to look like righteousness, illusion.
always.
And to people that haven't grasped a concept of God, it could cause them to not believe in him at all. BC they are seeing the conditions of the world, but people are telling them things about a God that they can't make sense of because it's false, but they swear it to be the truth. And even go so far as to allow it in a courtroom. That's the degree of significance that they put in this lie to make it look substantial in worth. When the only worth it has is being able to be recognized for what it is, a lie and injustice. They tell you to put your hand on a book that they say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Then tell you to swear to God to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. While the whole time, off top, you know that there's at least one lie in the Bible you got your hand on. Gratefully for me, the actual truth suffices in my life's testimony regarding my vindication, which the validity of was affirmed to me by God himself, through recognition of the factual details regarding my justification, as it relates to me being a victim forced resignations, which I'd lost sight of due to the trauma involved with the tribulation of the transgressions made upon me, most notably, malicious induced duress on several occasions that I'd previously been subject to. So I was taken back to relive moments after inquiring to God in prayer about what I lost clarity on due to the trauma related to the experiences. So though we relate with concerns to the manipulation of religion, it's personal for me because people have been trying to trick me in other ways after they gained confidence in being able to be successful in doing so after they recognized I had a mental deficiency which resulted from my involvement as a victim in an intentionally caused wreck in kindergarten resulting from a domestic violence dispute, of which I exited the wreckage with a broken leg and was struck in the head and knocked unconscious by a moving car. As I said, even a child can recognize it. BC it's as clear and undeniable as the simplest things there are to examine, analyze, and comprehend. Anyone that can understand that 1 + 1 is 2, can understand this. Again, compare Revelations chapter 12 to Genesis, the first 3 chapters. Love God and yourself by cherishing righteousness. By means of that, you'll naturally love your loved ones, the righteous family. And the conception and function of those means were made possible by the only one worthy of being called God, because that's who he is. Copyright Vincent Kevin Johnson, January 4th, 1987.
And I gotta somehow end this video, because I can't let you see my password to get back in and end it that way. You know what I mean? So let me figure out a way to do this. I don't want a motherfucker to turn the phone off, because that shit is going to probably mess up everything I just did. We'll see if, and the shit's still recording. You see, this shit be, so I'm just gonna have to change my password. You feel me? But it is what it is. You feel me? Shit be made to be faulty, so that for the intentions of the wicked, you feel me? For their ambitions, and so they can try to be successful, which you will never be successful in being wicked. You feel me? Wickedness will never prevail over righteousness. It'll never surmount righteousness. It'll never diminish righteousness, most of all. You understand? And that's just what it is. You know, so, I mean, since it's saying it's still recording, then we can just go. I'm going to leave it right there because I might not even got enough space to save all this. And then, So y'all stay up righteous. You understand?